Hey folks, Christina here, and I wanted to take a few minutes to walk you through Cengage MindTap. Several of you have reached out and asked some questions, and I've done a couple of Zooms with folks to walk you through. So this video will literally just be me kind of screen sharing and walking you through what the platform is all about. So on my screen, you can see over on the left-hand side, I have the week one, week two, and so forth. That's one way that you can view the work for this class. My recommendation is in this blue bar on the left-hand side of your screen, there's a little calendar. That's the one that's highlighted now. There's also like the three little dots with the three lines, a different layout. Personally, I prefer this layout because it shows you everything in the flow of the course. So you're welcome to use the calendar layout, but personally, I would recommend you use this one, and I'm going to show you why. And just a quick note, I have the book opened or laid on the right side of my screen. For you all, this may look a little bit different. I just needed to put the book there to cover up the grade book. Just so you know, you may not yet have the book on the right side of your screen, but I'll show you how to do that in just a moment. Okay, back to the left side of the screen. You can see that we have course orientation, part one, part two, part three, and so on. If you take a look at your assignment schedule for our class, you'll see that our assignments go by the chapters. So the way the personal financial planning book is laid out is in parts, but the way our class is going to go is in the chapters. And that is simply because I didn't want to give you three chapters, at one time. That's a lot. So we just divide it by the chapters. Okay. Now, the way this works is if I click on the screen where it says course orientation, this drops open for me and it gives me a get started. There's a little video that walks you through made by MindTap. It's probably better than the one I'm making because the person doing it isn't saying a lot. There's also a book companion site with some additional resources for you. Now, I would encourage you to watch the videos in this class. I'm also a realist. I know you're not going to watch every single video, but I want you to get the most out of what you've invested in this course. So, okay. Then over to the right-hand side of where we clicked course orientation, I can click this little, it looks like the top of a house or a partial triangle. When I click that, you can see it closes that course orientation back up. Now I'm going to take a look at part one. I'm just going to click where it says part one, understanding the financial process. And you can see that I have chapter one, chapter two, chapter three, and it says 51 activities. Okay. Rule number one, don't freak out. You don't have to actually do 51 activities, although I encourage you to take the time to look through these activities because it's really good information. The reason the college and our business department has stayed with the Cengage MindTap platform is because it is such a good deal for the money you pay. Okay, so let's talk about chapter one. If I click the little down arrow next to chapter one, or if I click the title of chapter one, it's going to expand chapter one for me. So let's take a look at what we have. So in each chapter, you'll have an engagement activity that's usually pretty low points. It's just a kind of chapter opener, let's say. Let's call it that. And you'll notice that this is due July the 20th. Everything in this class for the first 2 weeks is due at the week two deadline. And that is for a couple of reasons. Number one, it often takes a little bit of time to get on, get yourself down the runway for this class, to get the Cengage MindTap, to get it figured out how to log in. Plus, we're in week one of a term, and there's just a lot of stress for students. So what I've done in this class is, except for the attendance verification, all of your other week one work is going to be due at the week two deadline. So I can see my deadline here is July the 20th. And one really important piece here is, do you see this little orange dot? It says counts toward grade. So if you find yourself in a week where, life is just kind of lifey and things are just getting a little loosey-goosey for you, you could literally go through, read your book, and do only the activities that count toward your grade. You could completely do that. Of course, I do not recommend that as an every week strategy because you're going to be missing so much of the information in this course. Okay, now you can do this engagement activity first. And then it has your information about reading chapter 1. So when you click that, what happens is, takes a minute because it's pretty robust. It's going to open up the chapter 1 for you. And you can see I've got the little circle going right now. It's thinking. Hopefully yours will open a little faster. And so you can read your chapter in this way. I'm going to just close this out because I don't want to do my chapter that way just yet. You can also, I'm going to look over to the right side of my screen. You can see there's a little blue book about midway down all of these icons on the right-hand side. Your icons may not match mine, by the way. I have a few additional icons just because this is the teacher's edition, but you can click on full book here and it will open up your book. We'll come back to the book in just a minute. Okay, we're going to go back to the left side of our screen. So we talked about the engagement activity. We talked about reading the chapter. Then if I open up the little 5 activities, if I click that little arrow, you can see I have a check for understanding, a check for understanding -2, a check for understanding -3. And you can see some people are already doing these activities. Good job for those of you doing those. These are what are typically called just your checking activities. So they're just seeing like, how are you doing so far on this knowledge? It's a way for you to check your knowledge. Then I'm going to close that up. So again, these don't have that little orange dot, so they're technically not counted toward your grade like this engagement activity up top is. Okay, so I'm going to hide these 5 activities, and then I'm going to click the Learn It. Now, this is one of my favorite parts of this learning platform is these little quick video lessons. If you're a person like me, I can read a book all day long, but if somebody shows me how to do something, all of a sudden, ta-da, it makes sense. So you can click on this. I'm not going to do it because it'll take a long time to open up since I'm in Zoom, but you can watch these quick little financial lessons and they're so good. And they're all short, which is also great. So again, you don't see the orange dots. These aren't required toward your grade, but don't cheat yourself. Don't skip those. Okay, next I'm clicking the little arrow next to apply it. And oh, look, we see 2 more of these orange dots. So I have an assignment for chapter 1, which is worth 40 points. And then I have what's called a you decide, which is worth 10 points. So now that we look at this whole chapter 1, I'm going to scroll just a little bit. We can see that there are 3 activities with that orange dot. The good news is every single chapter has 3 orange dots. So for every chapter in this book, you'll have an engagement activity, you'll have an assignment, and you'll have a you decide. So let's say, like I said, life is getting kind of lifey for you. Maybe you had a pet get sick, or maybe you had a kid get sick, or maybe you got sick, or maybe something else came up. You can make the decision of, you know what, this week I'm only going to do the activities with orange dots just so that I can get my points. If you need to make that kind of decision during one of those busy life weeks. Of course, like I've said like 12 times already, I encourage you to do all of the activities because then you get all of the benefit. I'm also a realist. I know we're in 8 weeks of class, so that could be quite busy. Okay, I'm going to do the little arrow next to chapter 1, and I want to show you a couple of other things over on this side, the left side of my screen. So if I click on chapter 2, again, you can see, oh, look, there's an engagement activity. Somebody's already started it. Way to go. So there's an engagement activity. My Learn It is where my quick video lessons are. My Study It is where those practice things are. So you can do practices for yourself. And then if I click on the Apply It, there are my other 2 orange arrows for chapter 2. So again, as a reminder, you always will have an engagement activity, an assignment, and a you decide. So for every single chapter, you'll have those 3 required activities. Now, one thing that lots of students ask me is, oh, Christina, do I have to do those practices? Do I have to do the check for understandings? If it doesn't have an orange dot, it doesn't get counted toward your grade. However, because I want to recognize that effort that you put in. If you're the student that goes through and actually does those practices, let's say at the end of the term, you've done all of your work and you're between a B and a C grade, but you did a lot or all of those practice assignments, those check for understandings, you watch those videos. I will take that into account. And as an instructor, I can bump your grade up to a B so that you don't have to get a C. You put a lot of effort into the course. Hopefully you guys didn't just hear my neighbor with the motorcycle drive by, but if you did, I'll repeat what I said real quick. If you do those practice activities, the check for understanding, the videos, then at the end of the term, let's say you're between a B and a C, I can take that into account that you put all of that extra effort in, and I want to acknowledge that effort that you put in as a student. So I will make the instructor decision to bump your grade up a couple of points. Now, if you don't do all of your work, I'm not going to bump your grade up. Okay, let's just be real. We don't get rewarded for work we don't do in life, nor in class. All right. Oh, one more thing I want to tell you on the left side before we look at our textbook is down at the very bottom, we have these things called appendices. And these are different appendix items that will help you with the work. Now, the first one is Appendix A, Table of Future Value Factors. If you have not had business math yet, which is BT 160, don't worry, it's not a prerequisite for this course, but you will do some future value and present value of money activities in this class. And these appendices will be referenced in your chapter and they can help you out with that. I will be happy to do additional videos if this is new information for you all, but I did just want to show you this information. Another appendix down here at the bottom is about using a financial calculator. And lots of times students get to that section of the material and they're like, oh, wait, I didn't know I had to buy a financial calculator. Everybody listen up. You do not need or have to buy a financial calculator for this class. If there are activities that require a financial calculator, you can find them online. If you have an iPhone, there's a great app, which I'll put in an announcement when we get to that point. I'm not sure about the other kinds of phones because I don't have one of those kinds. You can also check out a financial calculator from our library. So there's lots of options for you. Do not go buy a financial calculator for this class. You don't need to buy one. If you're going into finance, after RCC, you could go ahead and buy a financial calculator if you wanted to. You're going to use it in life if you're in finance. Okay, let's close up these appendices. And that's just a quick little overview of the material. Another thing I want to show you is this class has, you can see a lot of activities. In the part 1, there's 51 activities. In part 2, there are 37 activities. In part 3, there are 32 activities. But remember, how many activities count toward your grade for every chapter? If you said 3, you're absolutely right. So you'll have 3 activities for chapter 1, 3 activities for chapter 2, 3 activities for chapter 3, and so on. Okay, let's move over to the right side of the screen, which is where I have my textbook. Now, you can get your textbook in the flow of the part 1, chapter 1. I personally like to open up the book here. Another thing that I want to share with you all is you can print this book if you want to get the chapters or if there are exercises that you want to print. As an RCC student, you have, as part of your tuition benefit, the ability to print from any of our computer labs on all 3 of our campuses. And if you need help figuring that out or locating our computer labs, you're welcome to send me a quick message, or you can go on the RCC website and just type in computer lab in the search bar. And so yeah, that's my note about printing. Okay. Up at the top, right above the where it says Cengage on my book, there's a little three dots and three lines, and it has, you can barely see it, but it says TOC. That stands for Table of Contents. So I can change my pages by clicking this little arrow over on the right, or I could go to my table of contents. So I'm just going to click that, and then it opens up the whole table of contents. So let's say that we were in chapter, let me see which one. I really like the one on, yes, automobile and housing decisions. Let's say we were in chapter 5. I'm just going to click the 5 there, and you can make this larger on your screen. I'm just going to keep it smaller on my screen for right now, but you can click on any of the headings here. So let's say, excuse me, let's say we have our reading assignment is chapter 5, buying an automobile. And so I can go through and I can read my chapter. If I want to print it, I can print it. If you're like me and you can't see the writing, you can make the letters bigger, you can make the letters smaller. You can also listen to the book being read to you. I have had students in the past who have said, they liked going to the gym. And so what they would do is they would play their book in their ear while they were doing their workout. I don't know if that would be enough motivation for me to do a workout, but that's what some of my students have shared with me. So just an idea for you there. So that's a bit about navigating in your book. And I think those are all the things I wanted to share with you. You can use your highlighter tools in making notes as you go through this ebook. Lots of people like to do that. I'm a paper person, so I have a printed copy of this book with my handwritten notes and my post-it notes in it, but you do you, whatever works for you. And I think that's all I wanted to share in this overview. I do want to encourage you. Please do not wait until the last minute to do your work in this class. Summer term, as I've said probably 100 times now, we cover 11 weeks worth of work in 8 weeks. This is a very heavy topic. It's an amazing life-changing topic, and it is also heavy. And so if you let yourself get behind in this class, it's going to be really tough for you. If you listen to this video, you saw the overview and you're like, whoa, this is like a little bit too much for me this summer. We offer this class every single term. So if you wanted to take it in fall, just let me know. I'll help you get in touch with someone who can help you with a schedule change. All right, folks, my contact info will be in the announcement where this video is. If you have any questions, you are welcome to reach out to me. I am really excited that you're in this class because, like I said, it is seriously life-changing material. If you really understand the foundational tenets of personal financial planning, you can literally change your family tree. I know because I've done it. All right, folks, thanks for watching this video, and I will see you on the next Zoom. Take care.